I think the best way to emphasize how hard this film is just to tell you the story of when I watched it. So, in preparation for this review. And I had already seen the first Transformers film, and I knew this was supposed to be worse. So I didn't, and as you already know, I did not like the first Transformers movie. And I remember getting an hour through, and checking the time, and I saw it was an hour through, and I said to myself, nothing has happened in this hour of film. And I said to myself, I need a break from this. So I went and I bothered my brother who was playing video games, and he kept on telling me, go and watch the film. And I'm like, I don't want to. It's bad, I don't want to. And then he goes to watch The Fault in Our Stars, and I'm planning, okay, I can finish the movie while he's out. He gets back, I haven't finished it yet. I think I might have gotten 5 minutes more into the movie. And I have never taken this, it took me all day to finish it. I don't think I've ever had taken that long to finish a movie voluntarily. There have been times where it's taken me a while because I've had to, simply by requirement, watch films in small increments, but nothing like this has really happened before.
I really would like to, before I even say my own history with this movie, I would like to say that is a very good point, that it cannot be undersold how difficult it is to get through this movie. It is truly unwatchable, and there aren't that many movies out there that I can honestly give that kind of. I don't like using that word. I don't like using unwatchable to describe movies very often. This is one of those rare exceptions like this. I would hold off giving any other examples just to keep like some sort of suspense of other opinions on other movies if I have a controversial opinion or anything like that. But this movie is insufferable. It's completely, in my own experience, you say it took you all day to watch it that day. For me, at least, I waited, I got home on a certain day at like, I got home at like 2 o'clock, I think it was, and I remember like, I guess I don't have much to do today. I guess I probably could watch Transformers 2 for the purposes of this review to get through it, and then I can just wait for however long it will take to get to doing this review. And what ended up happening was I held off watching it for like 7 hours, and then like I think it was 9 o'clock, 9:30 at night. I'm like, I'm not gonna be able to finish this movie in one go because like this movie is brutally long, and I I got like an hour 45 minutes into it, and it was a combination of the fact that I was tired and I just had enough. I couldn't do this anymore. I think it was around the scene when I think it was when they got to Egypt. And I think that was when I was like, you know what? I don't need this right now. I don't need to continue to watch this. This is trash. I don't think in my entire life, with maybe like 1 or 2 exceptions or something like that, that I've ever seen a movie that so beautifully defines the word trash. There's nothing to this movie at all. There's nothing that even stands out other than just how indulgent this movie is in itself. I've seen this movie before. I saw it in theaters, and I remember my mother being just mortified at how just horribly inappropriate this movie is for all, not just for kids, but for all ages. This movie offends human life and everything. It's offensive to humanity, and that's my review. Not that I'm done here, but if you want the short version, it is offensive to humanity, and is a great representation of how Michael Bay.
If I can interject, I think I said.
Yeah, I said too much. Go on.
I think in the first film, I remember saying that, this was a children's show, and so.
Oh man.
So much of it is so out there. It's like a raunchy comedy. And not a good raunchy comedy, because there is an art to raunchy comedy. There are good comedies out there that are that are inappropriate for children, that are sexual in nature. That
It's something good though. There are good raunchy comedies out there.
there are. And by the way, but the problem is, it's not just that it's raunchy; it's juvenile. It's extremely juvenile. It's like it's like a 14-year-old made these jokes, and
It's different because a guy that has the mentality of a 14-year-old.
What, the guy
this
has the
joke.
mentality?
Same guy who wrote, I think. Well, this was a collaboration of the guy who wrote the other sequels and the guy who wrote and the people who wrote the first movie. So it's kind of like the worst of both sides of the franchise combined into just a dreadful, just combination.
I think so much of it comes from it's so focused on the Witwickies in this. So on Sam Witwicky in college for like the first hour. For example, there's a scene. So that in this battle scene, they're stealing a shot of the Allspark. Thanks, forgot his name.
That's right.
And they're showing it. And there's a battle going.
Creative name anyway.
Yeah, and there's a battle going on, and then it cuts to a frat party, and I'm thinking to myself, yes, I watched Transformers, a show about giant robots that was made for children. To watch frat parties. Yes, that's why I watched this show.
I think what can't be undersold is, I think one of, and it's so hard to say the worst thing about this movie, but if I were gonna say one of the worst things about this movie, I would have to say just how you mentioned in the first movie where if there's something you don't need, cut it. Like you don't just like if it doesn't need to be there, don't leave it in the movie. What do we gain from Sam going to college? What do we learn about the character? I mean, in the first movie, he's established to be an everyday schlub who all he really thinks of is I can get the car so I can get the girl, and beyond that, there's nothing more to him. He doesn't get good grades. What does he want to study at college? Why is it? Honestly, you know what would have been interesting if he was like, I don't want to go to college. What if that happened, and maybe you had something new with the character other than the most cliched thing that he goes to college.
What
wacky hijinks can we waste time with by going there?
It's not like he's doing anything original at the college. It's something that there's so many films that come a very similar ground in a very similar fashion. And what I have a huge problem with is that, I mean, they don't have to tell us what he majors in at college. But they don't have to, but I should be able to know the character enough that I could speculate, at very least speculate about that. And he's going to Princeton, and I don't see any evidence that he's that intelligent. The first film,
there was that scene when he was saying like, oh, I got a B, I gotta try to raise my grade so I can get it into the A range. You're not going to an Ivy League school if you're not getting consistent A's or something like that.
Yeah, and he's like, I need 5 A's. And so the type of deal sort of suggests that he's not particularly, in the first film he has with his father, suggests he's not particularly intelligent. But he's going to Princeton, which is apparently a party school now.
Oh yeah, everyone at this college the entire college is populated only by guys who have like the biggest arms in the world and like double D'd, only short wearing like women that wear too much makeup. It's like Michael Bay's fantasy. It's
I'd like to say something.
Disgusting, honestly.
And I'd like to say something. You look at the first film. At the very least, the first film had the Australian girl who she did nothing, but she wasn't a sex object. In this film, can you think of a single female character at all in any way? Anyone, no matter how big the role, who is not a sex object.
I would say the mom, but it's actually kind of sad that at the same time they do kind of do that, actually.
They kind of do that.
No, they kind of do. It's really uncomfortable when those scenes come up when like the dad is like smacking her and that kind of stuff. Not like domestic violence, but I'm sorry.
It's really heavy a topic for Michael Bay.
That actually involve research, and apparently Michael Bay can't even do enough research to find out how like the rotation of the world works, because they transfer from one side of the world to the other side of the world, and it's sunny on both sides that they transport on. But other than that, no, everyone is just like the most generic, shallow, like caricature of every single group of humanity. It's honestly very uncomfortable to watch after a while, and it's a miserable experience to watch
I go
any
through
character
the
in
first
this
hour,
movie.
and what got me was just how long I had been through. It didn't feel like I had gone through anything. The first, it's just, and I mean it when I say the entire first hour of the film.
Nothing happens.
Yeah,
well, things
happen.
Things are happening, but they don't have any consequence. There's no reason. The only thing
And
that by an hour
really,
into
the things that happen take up 5 minutes each time they come up, and most of that hour, I'd say a good 2/3 of that first hour.
I mean, 40 minutes. Say 40 minutes. Go on.
40 minutes of that hour is the college, and what Sam is doing at the college, and getting prepared for the college, and his mother eating a pot brownie.
Do people who get high attack other people? Is there a study that I can look at that? Because because I would think that if you started smoking pot, you would be like, oh, I'm gonna sit down and kind of just be calm, and I'm not gonna run across the campus of the college and just tackling people. No, she's on cocaine or something like that.
Here's the thing. I don't. That's possible. That I'm completely wrong. I have never seen a man while they are high, but at the same time, a woman while they're high, I guess, because it's a woman. She's a woman.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. I have no proof of that. Of course, don't have documentation. But she doesn't sell that she's high at all.
She doesn't sell comedy, and that's all
she's
there to do. These parent characters are just one of the plethora of comic relief characters. I don't think there's a single character in this movie that is not somewhat comic relief. It is so I don't think I've ever seen a movie where every single character has a purpose of comic relief to the point that
that wasn't a comedy.
What?
That wasn't a comedy.
No, just any movie. Even comedies. Sometimes you have sometimes you have a straight man in there. Throw him in there to have some kind of reactions off of. I mean, there's no one to have reactions off of in this movie except for Sam. Except his one reaction shot is, "Wow! No! Scream as loud as you can." That creates drama and adds to action scenes and doesn't annoy you really, really, really quickly.
And yeah, I mean, it's just It seems almost like he wanted to make a comedy in the first hour, but he doesn't know how to make a comedy. Michael Bay does not.
He doesn't know how to make an action movie either.
No better at making. He's better at making action movies than he can comedies, because at the very least, he can make an explosion. He can make things go boom.
I also can hire a person to make an explosion. I mean,
that's true.
There are lines in this movie that are a little too self-referential, the hilarious, a little bit more subtle than the one that comes much later in the movie. But when they're in the frat house and Sam is talking to Leo, which is probably the most unnecessary character in the movie.
Yeah.
But
we need someone more pathetic than Sam, I guess.
Sam's not supposed to be pathetic. He's just supposed to be an everyday high school schlub. He's not.
But he's pathetic.
He's pathetic in this movie because he's just.
He's pathetic in all the movies.
He gets more pathetic as this series goes on. It's literally like a reverse arc. It's amazing. I don't think I can think of.
He regresses.
Yeah, he regresses as a character. He actually gets more just hate. By the end of the third movie, and I know we're out there. You hate this guy. He starts the first movie out and he's kind of an average kid. It's I just want to try to get an A on my paper. And on the paper, and at the end of the third one, he's just a rageaholic and he's violent to people. He tries to murder a guy, and it's upsetting. But so the line where he's talking to Leo and he says something like, "Oh man, anybody can just do that on a computer." I'm like, yeah. Anybody can do that on a computer. Good job, Michael Bay.
On the stuff so you mentioned, it's two. So, just on that sort of topic, there's a part in the film where Sam Witwicky is drawing symbols all over the walls, and one of the things he's drawing on is a poster for Bad Boys 2. And there's something similar in the first Transformers film. There's someone aliens are attacking and Transformers are falling and people are dying, and this guy is out there with a camera and he's like, "This is officially cooler than Armageddon." And I'm thinking to myself, I think that Michael Bay
Loves
is
himself.
masturbating to his own self-image.
Yeah. It's ridiculous. I can't really think of another director who's like that. Really would be like in the middle of the dark of like the new Christopher Nolan movie that's coming out, Interstellar. If like in the middle of that, like a guy was like getting beat up in the middle of a room and he got knocked into a poster for The Dark Knight Rises.
Well, and
it's so.
By the way, there are
like,
filmmakers who reference their other movies in their films.
Yeah.
But you can do it with an amount of subtlety and grace and have an art to
It's
it.
not to be cute or something like that.
Yeah.
Don't literally shove it in your face
Yeah, I
and
mean,
put the movie on a pedestal.
Michael Bay literally, it's just the poster for the movie, and it's noticeable and it's there. And I also know Cloverfield as well, but.
Oh no, and the worst part is if you actually notice when he starts painting on the Bad Boys 2 poster, he inexplicably tears down another poster that's above the Bad Boys 2 poster, at least to me almost implying like, yeah, let's get this other crap that you're saying is above Bad Boys 2 out of there and just put this little masterpiece right here.
And I've never seen it's so difficult to see a series of films more in love with himself than these three. And Michael Bay is in love with himself. And you get that, and don't you get a sense like it feels like that the film is in love with itself? And it's like,
It's very
we're epic. We are an epic experience.
It's really overindulgent, and I get that there are epics out there that, like, I mean, and you could make an argument that a lot of major epics that come out are kind of in love with themselves. Like, you could say that Lord of the Rings is in love with itself, but I mean, the extended editions are in love with themselves. But at least the theatrically released movies had the gall to, we'll put the stuff that's necessary in the movie, and for anybody that wants more, they can go out and find the special edition and watch that themselves. Transformers 2, the theatrically released movie, really feels like it's the extended edition of the real movie, and it's
well,
the first hour, like just like I did with the first movie, you could make in a couple of seconds you could come up with a reason why this movie could be much more tightly packed. And at least it wouldn't be good, but at least it wouldn't feel long. And just make this an hour, 40-minute long movie. And
this film really doesn't feel like... I've never felt, in my entire life, I've never seen a sequel where I feel so much like this shouldn't have existed. And the reason is, it doesn't. The first film was not designed in a way to help a sequel.
I disagree with that. Transformers is a really...
They actually tied things up, but they tied things up in a way that they put themselves in a place... They acted in the first film like they weren't going to do it. No, at the end. Well, here's how. Because they put themselves in a position where they killed Megatron, they destroyed the Allspark, and then the second film
there are shards left, and not just they bring that up in the second one. I could be remembering this wrong, but there's a scene when Optimus Prime is like, oh, there's a little piece of the Allspark left. So it's kind of like at the end of Spider-Man 3 when you see like there's a piece of the symbiote left if you look for it.
There's Megatron's dead. And for some reason they want Megatron.
Starscream left though. So I mean, like to me at least, it was obvious at the end of the first
they
movie
wanted Megatron. I guess they wanted Megatron.
I don't know why though. I mean, you have
not
another villain,
and they have a plot hole in it too. So the first film, at the end of the film, well, first of all, we're expected to believe that the first film was covered up. Aliens land in Manhattan, and Los Angeles, populated area. Hundreds of people see it. Probably a lot of people have died. There's billions of dollars of property damage, and they covered it up. I'm sorry, this is a government that can't run a website properly, and you're telling me they covered this up? Are you kidding me?
And they're inconsistent.
And even more so, in the first film, they say at the end that they put Megatron in the bottom of the ocean, and they say in the film, the last film, that the reason they're doing that is because the pressure will destroy it. In the second film,
they just go down there and they're like, we're paying Allspark, he's better. And can I just bring up...
It's guarded too, because apparently they expected that.
If I can just bring up the whole notion that, first of all, we even need Megatron. That you have another villain set up and you've been setting him up, just use that villain. You don't need to literally spend 20 minutes bringing back the character. But a larger point than that. Bringing Megatron back kind of just sets up the whole idea that death doesn't matter at all in this
Oh, no,
this
no,
universe.
no.
In this universe, and it's just when you establish so early on in the movie that any character can just be brought back by something that we know exists. We know that there's fragments left of it, so it's set up that we can use this for any character later on. When Optimus Prime dies, is there any tension that we know that he's not going to come back? He's the most marketable character. They don't hold on it, and we know that he could be brought back. So, gee, I wonder if they're going to bring him back or not.
And I will say this as well. Just two things. First, in regarding that plot I just mentioned earlier, I just want to make a point here. It's not like it's something they would have to look up. They did look it up. They mentioned it in the end of the first film. So they know that that's why Megatron's at the bottom of the ocean. They know this is the case, and then they just decide to ignore it. But second of all, actually, I agree. I mean, I remember thinking when they got it back, great, now they can bring Jazz back alive. And the whole idea that the Allspark can bring you back is absurd anyway. So, you know what happened when the Allspark was put into Megatron's chest in the first film?
He died.
He died. And then that same thing brings him back to life. It's like one of those, it's like a defibrillator. It's like you shock them and they're dead, and then you shock them again and they're alive.
Maybe that's actually exactly what it was.
Maybe.
Oh, you may have actually just solved one of the plot holes. Why are you helping Michael Bay?
I don't know.
Why are you helping this man? He's first of all, he's an idiot, and second of all, he just perpetuates the worst of humanity in these movies. The stereotyping in these movies is shocking.
One thing I want to explain too is that I understand how difficult it is to make a film, but at the same time, I feel like the stereotypes that Michael Bay perpetuates in his films have actually been harmful. Like I think people will look at, especially with Megan Fox, turning her into a sex symbol. Do you not think that in an era where this has become an increasing problem, people becoming anorexic because they are bombarded with this kind of imagery, people thinking this is how I'm supposed to dress and act, and people have not been hurt by that?
You know, for me at least, I think these movies haven't had much lasting power. So honestly, no, I don't really agree. If that was in some classic film that everybody loved, everyone universally considered, we're going to hold this up to a higher standard.
A lot of people really like it.
Yeah, a bunch of mongoloid fools like this movie.
Sadly, they made up a lot of money, people, and a lot of money. And
this movie's not going to become a classic, though. It's not. I don't even know if this is going to be held. Well, actually, it might be held up as one of the most universally hated. Oh yeah, I'm sure this film. Like this movie, like people still talk about Transformers 2 and how bad it is. Like kind of in the same way that people still talk about like Battlefield Earth or Batman and Robin or The Last Airbender. Now they still talk about how terrible those movies are. And they still talk about Transformers 2. I don't know if, and a lot of people seem to understand that Transformers 2 is bad in part because of how disgusting the racial stereotyping is in and Bay's interpretation of women and that kind of stuff. But it seems like people understand that the way that works is wrong. So no, I do disagree with you on that point. I think.
Speaking of the racism, by the way.
Yeah.
I want to see if I'm the only one who thought this. When you first see the one of the racist robots, you didn't see the robot in like its robot form, but he's in the form of an ice cream truck. And he's saying, "Children, get your ice cream," and something like that. Was I the only one who thought to myself, Michael Jackson, is that you?
Well, he died that year, so I would hope that they didn't.
Yeah, but I saw that, and I was like, let's see, this voice is coming out of an ice cream truck, and he's mentioning the word children.
Yeah.
I don't know. Michael Jackson?
Well, I think that's a very minor point.
Yeah,
when compared to just the the flat out racism that is just in your face after a certain point. Like when they get into the twins are, they can't read, they have gold teeth, they're clumsy, and they're like, and they're like using, like they're saying like, this movie is surprisingly colorful in its vocabulary. They're saying things like pussy and like dickhole and like pubic fro head, and like that was shocking to me that even made it. like some of these words even managed to get into.
And it's so,
like,
and it was so
PG-13 action.
controversial. And the third film, I don't think they were even there.
No, they weren't.
They didn't. We tried to find looking
No,
for
hilariously
them out.
enough,
We couldn't find them.
Hilariously enough, that's actually what Bay justifies as improving. All he did for the third one was just get a more respectable cast and just got rid of those two. Because to him, that's all that was wrong with this movie. He came out and said that he knows that this movie wasn't great, but it seems that he didn't make any improvements on it in the third movie. Though we'll get to that. All he really seems to think the problem was that he went too far with the twin robots, which I don't get.
Well, I think
how
going
there
too
can
far
be twin robots at all. Like that doesn't make any sense to me.
Well, you see, the mother robot.
Don't even try with this. It doesn't deserve justification. Nobody on this movie really considered how this was going to come out, and it's really obvious throughout the entire movie. Even performances that I would have defended in the first movie, and pretty much one of the only things that was even good. A lot about the first movie is pretty much gone here because all of the performances are just so much more annoying and yelling in your face and just.
Well, actually, I think that the characters are more annoying, but like still,
yeah,
they're
more. All of them are more annoying.
But Shia LaBeouf, I do think, still has some kind of charisma.
I thought he had more charisma in the first one.
He does have more charisma, but he has some kinds that was preserved. I think John Turturro was.
Well, when he's not stripping down to his underwear, that was necessary. Thanks, Michael Bay. I was drinking water when that happened, and that was.
Do you want to show them what you did with the? You like.
No, I didn't get back to the water when that scene came up, but whatever. At a certain point, it really just does feel like the script is being made up as it goes along. And the weird thing is, I would assume that if you're writing a script where you're just making up stuff as it's going along, you would try to be like, we'll make this as short as we can so we can just like rush it. No, they decided to make this overly long as long as they possibly could, and it's baffling. This movie is baffling to me, and even the effects, which I praised at least in the first movie, or every time an effect even happens in this movie, it just feels like there's so much stuff going on the screen at the same time that it's just you don't even know what you're supposed to be looking at anymore. Like with the action scene, I think I had said before, when it's like you throw like junkyard metal down a hill, and it has the same emotional impact. It has the same. Just feel of it has the same honestly, this movie there's the 15-minute section during the climax of the movie when things are just blowing up and nothing of consequence is even happening after a while, that you literally feel like you're getting stupider as you're watching.
Right, and I don't even understand.
More stupid, sorry.
One thing I just don't understand. So there's 76. I think on Rotten Tomatoes, but the audience rating for it is like 76%.
Mongoloids use Rotten Tomatoes.
For context, Titanic, it has a 65% rating. And I'm not going to say it's perfect, but better than Transformers: Revenge of the Fallen.
I haven't seen Titanic, so I can't really comment on that personally.
But just to point something out, but just to say something. So, I don't understand how those people could like this movie. I don't, because it's not like there's a lot of action in it.
No,
not in the first half.
Completely. No, there's a lot of action in this movie.
You can see.
I'm not saying
you can see in the first half. First of all, you can see that they don't cut away to that there isn't something else going. Can you really see a lot of action?
No. Like every 15 minutes, it's just like, we'll just have a totally pointless action scene that adds nothing to the plot. Like,
and then you cut away from it.
Yeah, then
it's
you
like
cut away
from it.
And
you cut away from it.
Well, yeah, because then you cut away from it for 15 minutes, and then you go back to another one that has no conflict. The movie is made for people that are just on, like, that need Ritalin and that kind of stuff, and it's just made for like, I want to get to this. Oh yeah, action scene. Oh, comedy. Oh, action scene. Oh, comedy. Action.
Well, actually, I just in defense of the audience, I know people who have Ritalin for different things. For ADD, who can handle a very intelligent movie. The film needs Ritalin, not the audience.
That must be true. I was kind of stunned coming back to this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember as a kid thinking like, the first one was better, but the second one was all right. And I only saw the second one I think once in theaters, and then I saw I think I saw half of it a couple years later, and I remember like, well, this is kind of juvenile, and then I never went back to it. Now coming back to it this time, I'm stunned at just how poorly
really is.
put together this movie is in pretty much every way. The effects don't really. The effects are, at least in my own opinion, are kind of a step down from the first movie, because it doesn't even feel like there's any weight to when they're on screen anymore. It just feels like we'll just have effects now, and the actors are more annoying, though they're still trying. I really don't even know if I have that much more to even say about it. It's just a really stupid, overly long, unnecessarily long movie that's just literally nulling. It has a nulling effect on your brain. So for actors making an attempt, and I guess honestly that's about it, because they are still trying.
Actually, I do have one more thing we can say, and that's the product placement, which is obnoxious.
Yeah, it's
I just
Adam
wanted to make a note of
Sandler-esque.
that. Yeah, but now I think it should be time to
Give final. Yeah, as I was saying before.
you want to start?
Well, I was before, but final rating for me, I'm gonna give it a solid 2. It's got actors, they're making an attempt, and it is important to note that they are trying, and the direction for them, although they are making them be more annoying than they were in the other ones, they are effectively being annoying, and that does involve acting. So at least for that, I will give this movie that it had good actors doing their best. So 2 out of 10.
I'm going to give it a low 2. The reason only reason really it's not a 1 is I do think the actors are trying. I do get a feeling of that, but this is a thoroughly unwatchable movie, and that's not something I really say often. It's not, and I don't want you to believe that this is a film that's so bad it's good in some way. No, it is a terrible experience. It is not something that I would have anyone, not even my worst enemy, go through. So, a low 2.
That doesn't sound good.